do it before.
Is it for the board?
Yeah, wood. So
Well-
it's kind of the same.
Okay, you can refresh it. Wonder what he wants to talk about in a minute. But that's, but this is the agenda item. That doesn't, we don't have anything left for us still, do we, on the agenda? So we had, so agenda item, so. Okay, well, I'm not even recognize it here.
So the question is, would you want to do it in August or want to do it September? It's about 45 minutes.
And we need to do it at work session?
Well, I figured do it at work session.
What-
Otherwise, I think that do it at a regular meeting would just be too drug out.
Do we have anything set for,
Well, I don't know. I'm just asking.
yeah, I don't, what would that attend? So much, let's see, August.
Maybe the 18th.
Yeah, I don't see a thing there. And what would be the date, 22nd?
Maybe the 3rd, whatever.
Yeah,
Tuesday,
oh,
the
third, be
15th.
the 15th. I'm not gonna be able to. Oh, that's not till October.
We got to.
Okay.
We do have to do a training and see Bruce should know anything.
Well, you wanna ask him if he has if he's thinking about a work session, we can just, if he is, then we just tie it into that date. Cause right now, Ed, either one of those look good to me.
Okay. Has an extra key.
Oh, yeah?
It's just, they, it was excited me. That's driving me crazy.
That bothers you?
That does bother me. Yeah. Which I'm sure means you're gonna keep it, but he said if you wanna come by, you can pop it on.
Did I do something wrong?
Tonight,
Okay.
anything I need to know from your point of view? Salt, I thought Salt's still up.
Well,
She said refresh, right? Is that where you refresh right now? Yeah, it did.
it was still under recommendation online too. So,
If you talk to Devin.
So where was Margie when her car broke down?
Over at Gale's. They
Oh,
went
well,
out and
that's
started.
good, at
Yeah.
least they weren't stranded
Well, I mean, I
somewhere.
just looked at it.
Then Ron came by and
Wow, he got.
was able to, they jumped it, started. So she just called right when I pulled in here, and she was at the
Hey,
dead
how are
auto,
you,
and they're saying it's the battery.
Oh, well, that's
just
good,
go
it's
ahead
just
and
the
replace the
battery,
battery.
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I was gonna say you look familiar.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to ask
see you.
you about
He's
the
not
dress
speaking
for
on
the
this.
gala.
Okay.
When you go
Right.
to the Heart Ball.
I'm just not
whatever,
gonna
what
say
does
no
the
one
dress
signed up
wear?
here and then just move right on.
Move on.
God.
And I put on a tux.
But you know, the Liza
I
Minnelli,
want to believe
See,
it.
I can't. So I'll be out of town.
Maybe not your
well,
case.
you can let him borrow your tux.
What size is that you wear? They do a lot of good.
I was going to.
So she wears a long dress to the, I think at my age I can get by with a dressy cocktail
You
dress.
probably could. I mean, yeah.
It's a nice gesture, but that seems a little, what would you just have business dress?
Well,
But I
it's
guess,
got to discuss it. We've got to, yeah, they want to put on a real
yeah.
soiree.
And
I
they
mean,
go,
I would go if we weren't going to be out of town.
wait, are gonna be another cruise or what?
No, I got a football game.
That's better.
It's Florida State.
So I'd call this meeting of the New Hanover County Board of Education to order. Please stand for the invocation, Pledge of Allegiance, and National Anthem. Lord, we thank you for this day, this opportunity to gather to discuss the educational needs of the young people in our community. Be with us as we make decisions tonight. Provide us wisdom and guidance. Be with those that serve and protect here and around the world tonight. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
And
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please have a seat. We have a microphone up here. If you would please come forward, this is the brass ensemble, I think it's, brass ensemble from Laney High School, and the instructor, Mr. Bob Pearson, is here, and if the students would give us your name and the grade that you're in at Laney.
My name is Zion Perkins, and I'm a junior at Laney. My name is Leroy Pridgeon, I'll be a sophomore at Laney.
My name is Sydney Monteith, and I'm a senior at Laney.
My name's Chloe Hay, and I am a senior at Laney.
My name's Sam Weaver, and I am a junior at Laney.
I'm Chris Affolder, I'm a sophomore at Laney.
My name Chris Vasquez, and I am a senior at Laney.
I'm Bob Pearson, I'm the band teacher at Laney.
I don't think it picked up. Why don't we do it again?
Okay.
I think it's working now. That was for practice. This is for real now.
My name's Heather Bennett. I'm a senior at Laney.
My name's Destiny Pridgeon. I'm a junior at Laney.
My name is Zion Perkins, and I'm a junior at Laney. My name is Leroy Pridgeon, and I'm a sophomore at Laney.
My name is Sydney Monteith, and I'm a senior at Laney.
My name's Chloe Hay, and I'm a senior at Laney.
My name's Sam Weaver, and I'm a junior at Laney.
My name is Chris Affolder, I'm a sophomore at Laney.
My name Chris Vasquez, and I'm a senior at Laney.
And Mr.
Bob Pearson, band teacher at Laney.
What grade are you in, Bob? Thank you very much. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Ms. Adams, would you call the roll, please?
Donald S. Hayes.
Here.
Jeanette S. Nichols.
Here.
Janice A. Kavanaugh. Tammy J. Coble. Lisa Eastep.
Here.
Edward B. Higgins.
Here.
Bruce T. Shaw.
Here. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, item 2, is approval of the agenda. Any additions or deletions? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Thank you. Item 3 is approval of the minutes from our regular meeting, July the 7th, 2015.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Thank you. Item 4 is recognition of achievement.
Good afternoon, everyone. We just have one recognition this evening, but it is a very special one. Our recognition this evening goes to Mr. Carl Duke Wallen, the CTE Education Facilitator at Harvard High School. Mr. Wallen is the 2015 recipient of the National Career Development Association's Outstanding Career Development Facilitator Award. Can't say that 3 times fast. He competed next to CE teachers from all over the United States for this award. He recently traveled to the 2015 NCDA Global Conference in Denver, Colorado, where he received this prestigious award. So we are very honored to recognize Mr. Wallen this evening. If you would please come forward. And if his family is here, and Dr. Sullivan, principal of Hoggard High School, and Colleen Pay, who nominated him, would you all please stand so we can recognize you as well? Congratulations, Duke. And that concludes our ceremony.
Next item on the agenda, item 5 is call to the audience, agenda items. No one is signed up, so we'll move to item 6. We have a closed session. We need a motion to go into closed session pursuant North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A1, and 115C 319 and 321.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We are in closed session.
All right.
Next item on the agenda is item 7, administrative personnel. Item A, administrative recommendations. Appendix A, Dr. Markle.
All right, we have one principal recommendation and several assistant principal recommendations. We will start with the principal recommendation. It is my pleasure to recommend Ron Villanese as the new principal at Williston Middle School. Mr. Villanese served as a principal at Graham Middle School. He was the AP at Graham High School and AP at Graham Middle and at East Mooresville Intermediate. He was also a teacher at Graham Middle. His contract will be in effect until June 30th, 2017. He received his bachelor's degree from East Carolina and a master's degree from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. Mr. Villanese is here tonight. So upon approval, I'll ask him to stand up and will be recognized.
Move for approval.
Second.
Comments, questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is approved.
Mr. Villanese, welcome. Our first assistant principal recommendation, Ms. Stephanie Washington, who will be assistant principal at Ogden Elementary. Ms. Washington currently serves as a teacher at Ogden Elementary School and has since 2003. She completed her internship at Ogden last year. Her contract will be in effect until June 30th, 2017. She's received a bachelor's degree from the University of North Carolina at Wilmington and a master's degree from Gardner-Webb University. I would ask for approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Comments, questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Now,
Opposed? It's approved.
Ms. Washington, I believe, is here tonight, and she's here with her principal, Tammy Brisson. Our next recommendation is for Jeff Swanson to be the assistant principal at DC Virgo. He currently serves as the assistant principal, student services director at Granville Central High School. Previously served as a teacher at New Bern High School and the intervention coordinator at South Brunswick High School. Prior to these positions, he taught at South Alamance, South Brunswick, and at Edwards Middle School. Mr. Swanson's contract will be in effect until June 30th, 2017. He has a bachelor's and a master's degree from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I'd ask for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Comments, questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved.
Mr. Swanson is here tonight with his principal, Dr. Irizarry. Our last recommendation, administrative for the evening, is the Early College Program Coordinator at Wilmington Early College. Our recommendation is Donnie Watkins. He currently serves as a high school dean at Triad Math and Science in Greensboro. He served as the graduation coach at Ashboro, the student service administrator at Western Regional Central Office in Guilford, and teacher coordinator of an alternative school in Ashboro, and is a counselor with the New Opportunities at Lake Forest Academy here in Wilmington. Mr. Watkins' administrative contract will be in effect until June 30th, 2017. He received his bachelor's degree from the University of North Carolina at Wilmington and his master's degree from American Intercontinental in Illinois. Mr. Donnie Watkins. I'd ask for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Comments, questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved.
And Mr. Watkins is here tonight.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. That concludes the administrative recommendations.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, item 8, Head Start. Item A, Head Start report from Liaison Appendix B, Mr. Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did not have a report last month, so I have several things to report to you this month. Number one, our enrollment, 260 students, 103 3-year-olds, 157 4-year-olds, had 93% attendance, which exceeds the 85% requirement, 27 special needs students. There were 32 behavioral referrals during those 2 months, and there are 16 McKinney-Vento students For those who don't know, those are the homeless students. And we had 157, as I said, 4-year-olds, and we have 157 transitioning to kindergarten this coming year. This current time, we have 110 3-year-olds enrolled for next year, and 137 4-year-olds, which is a few more 3-year-olds and a few less 4-year-olds. But therefore, that's 247, so we still have at least 13 slots left to be filled. Would remind anyone that there is an income eligibility program that is more stringent than the North Carolina pre-K requirements. As far as updates, Office of the Early Childhood Education Program has moved to the Dale K. Spencer Building, where they now occupy their administrative offices, if you will. Several members also attended a Region 4 Head Start Association Summit in Atlanta, Georgia, back in June. They discussed new proposed Head Start performance standards, and staff attended workshops designed to address management systems and financial operation, among other things. They're engaged in ongoing building for principals, ongoing planning with the building principal, and I as the liaison, met with Ms. Miles back in July, and she and I had an opportunity to go over some of the things I'm going to be talking about later on now. Long-term focus, utilize Child Plus data systems for program management. Reduce family caseload management for family specialists to meet Head Start guidelines of 40 maximum family caseloads. Currently, we have 130. So we're going to have to address that. Utilize curriculum data to make program decisions and increase communication among central office administrators, family, and school staff. Upcoming events, week of August the 10th, program orientation will be administered by the director and family specialist. Our next policy council meeting will be on August the 11th. Office of Head Start uses information that they gather from us to determine program strengths, concerns, areas of non-compliance, and deficiencies. There will actually be a visitation sometime between October and next June to review these things. I think that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Higgins. Item B, any questions from anybody for Mr. Higgins?
You need a work session for Head Start?
Yes, we need a work session, needs about 45 minutes. Requires that the governing board, which we are, has a training session once a year. And now, Mr. Shell has never had the training. The rest of us have been through it, but she would need about 45 minutes, so I'm thinking the third Tuesday in September, if that would be agreeable to everyone.
Does that work out with your, because I know you were thinking, if we were to have a work session, it would be on that date.
Yeah.
So were you thinking about one? Will you tie it together with that?
We can tie it together. There's no
Okay.
sense doing two separate.
Right.
What date would that be?
The 15th of September, is that right, Mr.
Yes,
Higgins?
15th September.
So we'll just put work session down for that, and,
That'd be at 4 o'clock.
okay. Okay, next on the agenda, item item B, 2015-16 Head Start written plans, Appendix C, Mr. Higgins.
You were sent this information, I think, electronically. It is three things we've got here. The Head Start written plan. It's a very extensive, detailed plan. I have a copy here in a notebook. But basically what they have done, if I may read very briefly, this plan represents a written narrative description of the strategies and activities that are used within the Head Start program to maintain a high-quality service to families and children. The plan specifies how New Hanover County school's early childhood education program, also known as Head Start, will meet administrative requirements for the program. They strive to be prudent, have wise management and the use of the Head Start funds and resources, be comprehensive and responsive for delivery of all services, be supportive, creative, and maintain a safe and healthy work environment, and provide adequate training and opportunities for the staff. If you were to go through the remainder of the material, you will find that there are goals and objectives, and then what has been done is explanations have been given for those goals and objectives, and who is responsible for them, evidence that they will measure to make sure they are being adhered to, and what the targets are. So if anybody has a specific question about anything in that plan, as I said, Ms. Smiles is here, prepared to answer that question.
I have a general question for Ms. Smiles.
But you need to come up to the...
It shows my newness to this, but this was the first year for the school board. Is that right, with Head Start?
Correct.
And so prior to that, who managed Head Start?
Prior to that, it
Yes,
was
ma'am.
a liaison company
Okay.
that does it temporarily, and that was CDI. But prior to that, that was the Community Action Agency of New
Okay.
Hampshire County.
And I recall following that. So after having a year, if I might put you on the spot, after having a year, were there any lessons learned with it that would be helpful for this board to know from your point of view?
Defining lessons learned. Well, I would say that for moving forward, we now are creating the structure and the core necessary to carry out the requirements of the grant, and we're learning and building and growing together to make sure that we carry out the performance standards as you see in these documents, and getting some solid ground and foundation to moving forward. We're looking forward to implementing our curriculum that everybody was a part of, and getting some solid classroom management and classrooms, and just the governing body requirements for the Board of Education to be the grantee of the Head Start federal grant. And I think it's just going to take some time, but we are really off to a great start. I feel very confident that looking forward to another year.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. That takes care of item B, Mr. Higgins?
Takes care of item B.
Okay, item C is the 2015-16 Head Start School Readiness Plan. Appendix D, Mr. Higgins.
Yes, again, if I may read, the Head Start approach to school readiness means children are ready for school, families are ready to support their children's learning, and schools are ready for children. Head Start views school readiness as children possessing the skills, knowledge, and aptitudes necessary for success in school and for later learning in life. And that's taken from the Head Start approach to school readiness. Locally, the purpose of this plan is to guide all staff in ensuring that all children are provided with countless opportunities to progress in all areas of school readiness, as well as to link our how the program will meet Head Start's approach to school readiness. Also includes goals for parents, family, and community, and was created by the pre-kindergarten instructional specialist, the principal, pre-kindergarten teachers, kindergarten teachers, Smart Start of New Hanover County, pre-kindergarten exceptional children's resource teachers, pre-kindergarten parents, family specialists, school nurses, and the pre-kindergarten director. And if you, again, look through the entire thing, what you will find is that there are, again, goals and objectives, activities, standards, and expectations.
Questions, Mr. Higgins? Okay, thank you. Item D is the Head Start 5-year strategic plan and program goals, Appendix E. Mr. Higgins.
Okay, and this, again, is the long-term goals, or long-term, short-term goals that have been developed Primarily, the strategic goals for 2014 through 19, the program will improve the effectiveness of collecting using data to support programs' outcome. Goal number 2, the program will empower and maximize community partnership with family engagement. Goal number 3, the program will promote classroom communities by strengthening the social and emotional foundation of children and staff. Goal number 4, the program will implement a developmentally appropriate curriculum, promote success in all classrooms. And then beyond that, once more, each strategic goal is spelled out with 1 or 2 objectives, in some cases 3 objectives, expected outcomes, data tools and tracking progress, and strategy for accomplishing that. And all of this has been prepared by the Head Start director and her staff to advise the school board as to what Head Start is up to.
So we have a lot to do.
Yes.
Well, also, as I mentioned, there will be a visitation. We don't know when, at least I assume you don't know when yet. Could be as early as October. That's the reason we want to go ahead and have the training session in September, so we will be able, Mr. Chairman, you and I probably will be interviewed. As Ms. Smiles has said, they don't expect us to know all the nuts and bolts of how Head Start operates, but they just want to know generality of how they are reporting to us and how we are involved in Head Start. That's one of the reasons that we are now being provided a budget report, so that initially we didn't realize it was supposed to be monthly, but now we do, and so each month henceforth there will be something of a budget report to let you know how the money is being spent and how much has been spent. So,
sounds
Thank
good.
you, Mr. Higgins.
yes, ma'am.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Item 9, under information, item A, policies on for first reading. Mrs. Nichols.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 3 policies tonight. The first one is a new policy for official record preservation, and attached you'll find the procedures as well. I'm going to ask Mr. Bullard if he will present this, please.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. The policy is designed to set forth the legal requirements of keeping public records, the retention of those records, and also makes clear that certain records are open to the public and certain records are confidential in accordance with North Carolina general statutes and other federal laws, such as the FERPA law, which makes student records confidential. The policy authorizes a superintendent to enact procedures, detailed procedures to implement that policy. So the procedure is just here for your reference. The action that the board is being requested to take on this is just to approve the policy, but the procedure goes into the details about how to make sure that staff is protecting records, especially electronic records, primarily emails and texts. And basically what it says in a nutshell is that because of the difficulty in preserving electronic records, there should be 2 primary methods used by staff when communicating electronically. One should be emails using their official New Hanover County Schools email accounts, not their personal email accounts. And the other would be in situations where they feel they need to send a text message, they should do so using the Google Hangouts text account, which is tied to their New Hanover County Schools email account. That way, the technology department has a way of keeping a record of and maintaining those records, as opposed to employees using their own personal telephone networks to send text messages or personal emails to send emails. So that is the purpose behind the policy, and it goes into detail about what a staff person should do if they receive a text message from a parent using a different method than what is approved, or an email to their personal email account, and provides details for the staff as to how to comply with the new policy.
And so you can see the procedures are very complex, and it's going to take a lot of reading and rereading. So thank you, Mr. Bullard. The next policy is a new policy as well, This one is public relations and school communications, and if you'll remember, Dr. Markley started the organization so that we could hear from parents. I'm going to ask him if he'll present this policy and talk about the procedures.
All right, first of all, I would like to thank the parents and the board members, Ms. Eastep and Ms. Koval, who served on this committee. This was a one-year committee that came together to look at our public relations and how we communicate with parents. A lot of great feedback from parents from across the spectrum, as well as teachers and principals who served on that, so I want to publicly thank them. You can see the public relations communication. There are some minor changes to our current policy, but it talks about coordination of communications to our public Relations Division. It talks about our regular communications. It talks about the standards that are in there, crisis communications, as well as parent and school communications. And then at the policy committee, we split out the second half into procedures. And this, I think, is something to take a look at in terms of talking about how often communication should be done with parents or updated with parents and response times. So I'd ask to make sure you look at that, the procedures to this, because that gets into the meat of what that back and forth communication looks like. It was decided to do it as procedure instead of actual policy for that part, because with modern communications, those standards change pretty rapidly. So if we need to make adjustments, we can do that to the procedure. I'd ask anybody, Ms. Eastep, anything you want to add to that about the procedures and policy?
No, just I appreciated serving on the committee. I thought we had some very good discussions.
All right. Felita, from a public relations standpoint, anything you want to add?
No, I think it makes it very clear what parents can expect from us as a district.
I will, assuming you approve this on first reading, this will be something we'll review with our principals Thursday at our Thursday retreat session.
Are you asking us to approve this tonight?
No, if you do it as first reading, I'll preview it with them Thursday in anticipation of it being adopted as at the next regular meeting.
Okay, and if they have some input, we certainly appreciate hearing from them.
And there were 3 principals who served on that committee as well, so.
Okay, thank you. And I understand the parents were really consistent in their attendance, so that's really good. Okay, thank you. And our last first reading policy tonight is student promotion and accountability, and that is 7440, and Dr. Smith is going to share this with us.
Yes, thank you. Policy 7440 covers our procedures and expectations regarding student promotion and accountability for the district. The changes in the policy represent a reflection of changes in state board policy, as well as changes in our graduation project, our expectations around graduation project. We are asking that the graduation project be reflected as a separate unit of credit for our students, because their students are no longer only taking the graduation or completing the graduation project as a part of their English 4 classes. Students now have the opportunity to take it as part of their AP literature class, and at some point will also be able to take it as a part of their participation in the IB program at Hoggard High School. So we want to make sure that what we have in our current policy reflects the reality of the opportunities available to our students in our high schools.
How does that change from what we're doing now? You're talking about the senior project?
Yes. In the past, students have completed their graduation project or senior project paired with their English 4 class. Now that the state allows students to accelerate through courses, either by credit by demonstrated mastery, or have also removed the seat time requirements, we now have students who are no longer required to take English 4. They can substitute AP Literature for English 4, and as we bring on our IB program at Hoggard High School, we'll have students who will be taking their 4th English as the English offered through the IB program. So to expect a student to complete the graduation project within the traditional expectations that we have right now does not align with those changes. So we're having this project, we're evolving this to reflect what the opportunities are for our students currently.
The
It is-
currently, graduation project is tied to English 4.
Right.
But now you can graduate without taking English 4 and taking something else, so we need to change our policy to reflect that it can now be tied to advanced placement, IB, or a similar course.
They'll still have it, they'll just have it somewhere else.
Correct.
Yes,
Another-
yes.
How popular is that around the state? Because I know not all systems require that. Do you have much feedback there from other systems around the state as to their opinion of that?
Yes.
Because we hear a lot locally.
In taking a look and making the recommendation for our changes, we did look at some of the larger systems that still require the graduation project, and they have evolved their requirements similar to what we're recommending. So we are finding that larger systems still require it. It's more so the smaller systems that have moved away from the graduation project.
Did they give any reasoning as to why they'll?
Not any specific reasons. I can assume that sometimes it's the complexity, and if you're in a rural district, children having access and opportunity might have been
Yeah.
something that was somewhat limiting to them. But we are finding that our larger districts are continuing with the graduation project.
Any
And
other
that could-
questions?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any other questions, sir?
Just for clarification.
Okay.
As I understood it, at Harvard, the International Baccalaureate program, you talk about here English 4 or AP Literature. Is there another English that would be in the IB program?
Yes, and unfortunately, I don't have the name of that
Well,
course
that's
with me,
okay, but all I'm
yes.
simply asking is, there's nothing in here to indicate that the IB English would also serve as a co-requisite. It just simply says English 4 or AP Literature as a co-requisite. So
Yes, and that's because the IB program has not come online as of yet. So when it is available to our students, we will then update again.
I don't understand why, I mean, I understand that it's not online but I don't understand why, while we're doing this, we don't just go ahead and include it so that we don't have to bring it back to us later on when the IB program does get started. And if it doesn't get started, well, I mean, it's no harm done having it in there.
Dr.
Yeah, we
Smith,
can
if-
make
if-
that, yeah, we
yeah.
can definitely make that change.
If we just simply said as a co-requisite with the senior level English class, that would
Okay.
cover everything?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll take that first.
Any more questions?
Pardon?
Are there any more questions?
Any more questions on the, because those were on for information. If you have
Yes.
any more, call Mrs. Nichols. She'll be glad to answer your questions.
Or Dr. Smith.
Or Dr. Smith.
Or Dr.
Or others
Markwood.
associated with the,
Yes.
with those policies.
And we have not established a time for the next policy committee because we're waiting for different policies to come in. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, item B, charitable contributions, and my name is there. I don't know how much of a discussion we can have tonight on charitable contributions that our schools are involved with, but with the everything in the news recently, I've had a lot of comments and questions from people about what involvement the schools have in different endeavors as far as fundraising with the Cancer Society, Relay for Life, United Way, whatever. So I thought it would behoove us tonight to, and I know you probably can't go in depth that much as far as, because I know it varies also from year to year as to what
Sure, I'll be happy to give you an overview of currently what we do charitable contribution-wise practices. As you know, charitable contributions, these are contributions that our employees would make to charities. As a district, as a whole, there are two charities we participate in district-wide. One is United Way, and they have representatives here tonight if you have questions for them about how those dollars are spent. And then we also participate in Relay for Life in the spring. The United Way contribution, participation goes back long before I got here, and has been one tradition the district has partnered with as their district one. Each of our individual schools will participate in charities that they think are beneficial to them or their local communities. Jump Rope for Heart is one that is popular among a lot of schools. Oftentimes, you'll have a particular student, teacher, or other crisis moment at a school, and the schools will participate and do an individual fundraiser that benefits somebody at their school. It may be they have a local business a local cause that they want to work with. So we don't limit our schools in terms of who they participate with. Another example is oftentimes when there's a natural disaster, our schools will do penny drives and other drives to help out on those kinds of charitable events. But as a district, we limit ours to 2, and it's the 2 that we've traditionally done going back a long time, because we don't want to get into the business of having to say to everybody that comes in, we'll sponsor a district charity. United Way has always been one that contributes to multiple organizations, so by giving to one, you can designate within the community how that charity, how those dollars go.
Dr. Markley, the questions I've had from the public and parents are in particular United Way and how their contributions are to the various charities. Are there any funds that the local United Way send to the national United Way? Or are all the disbursements only for local causes?
I'll ask, with board permission, I'll ask the chairman and the United Way representative come to the mic, and they can answer that probably better than I can.
Okay, thank you.
And folks, gentlemen, if you'll introduce yourselves to the board.
Sure. Good evening. Tom Barth. I'm a professor of public administration at UNCW and current chair of the United Way board. And Tommy Taylor is the executive vice president of our local United Way. About 1.8% of our funds go to, we call it international or national United Way.
Could you repeat that?
About 1.8% of our funds go to support our international and our statewide United Way. None of those monies then go back out to any local United Ways in the country. Local United Ways are independently operated and handle their allocations independently. So nothing that goes up goes out to any other local United Way.
But it does go to the national United Way.
Is that right? Yeah.
It goes to United Way worldwide, and they use that money to fund the United Way network, not any agencies.
They've used that money for what? I couldn't.
To build the United Way network.
Sounds like it's administrative.
Oh.
That's right. That's right. But in other words, none of that money is then funneled back for programming to any local United Way in the country. It's for their administrative overhead and for, marketing the brand and that sort of thing.
The questions that I had from the public are, if funds are given to the National United Way, are any of those funds then given to Planned Parenthood?
No.
So none of the funds that come out of New Hanover County go in any way to Planned Parenthood?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
And what you're saying then, 98.2, because you said 1.8% goes, I was a history major, but
You got that right.
98.2, if I'm correct, stays within our county for the charities here.
Well, that's right. And locally, we have about 10% administrative overhead for our own United Way.
But that amount stays here.
That's right.
Okay.
And the rest all goes to, again, about 39 different agencies, 39 different agencies that we fund. As Dr. Markley mentioned, what's great about the United Way is, again, we collect money on behalf of our contributors to disperse throughout 39 different social service agencies in this area based on their community impact.
And also when people contribute, they also can indicate, can they not?
Oh, yes.
Where they would like that money to go?
That's their choice.
If none of the local United Ways throughout the country contribute to Planned Parenthood.
Well, I didn't say that. There are local United Ways in this country that do. We do not.
Okay.
Okay, but that's independent. Each one has their independent allocation process.
And
But we do not.
I'm sorry. You mentioned the funds are distributed in the area.
Yes.
So not just in New Hanover County, but...
Yeah, in fact, we have a list here. It's 39 different agencies, but we cover Brunswick, Pender, as well as Columbus. So it's a 4-county area.
4, okay, thank you.
They're both Tom.
Could you speak, Tom,
Sure.
just for the benefit of the public, in general, briefly, what's the mission of United Way for New Hanover and its surrounding areas? Can you do that?
Sure. And you can see there are T-shirts we're wearing here. community impact, and that's really what we're about. And what we do is we have a very, very participatory process. About 50 community leaders and volunteers participate in our allocation of our funds. And they go to basically 3 areas that we've identified as priorities in this region. That is education, health, and financial stability. And those are our 3 sort of priority areas. The funds are then allocated, again, to move the needle and affect community impact in those 3 areas. Again, increasing quality of education, a lot of access to health care, and again, financial sustainability. And so it's really about, the key thing here is it's about impact. And we are very much in our process, and we invite the school board members to participate in our allocation decisions and process. We invite you to do that. As I said, we use over 50 community leaders and volunteers now who help us make those decisions. And the whole point is to make sure the money goes to agencies that are really making a demonstrable impact on these issues. And people, and so it's not just, we're not just funding agencies who have nice missions, we're funding agencies with great missions who have demonstrable impact on our children, and quite a bit of it really is in the education area.
Tom, just a side question. In my old district, we actually had a student panel that did some allocations. Is that something you guys do here as part of your allocation process?
We don't currently do that, but we've looked at that model because we think it'd be a great way to help teach philanthropy. We'd be interested in that model, so I'd be happy to talk with you about it.
Great.
And we want to have the process as inclusive as possible in how we make decisions. Lots of needs out there.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
I do have a question. I'm the board liaison to ACES, Advisory Council for Exceptional Students. I've had several conversations with different charities that support special needs students, and who have expressed frustration that our school our county schools do not do anything globally to support special needs. Does United Way dedicate any funding to special needs programs or organizations?
I'll let Tom answer.
We have about 32 programs that we do support directly through the impact process. We have in the past done some special needs programs. I don't believe we've had any apply in this past cycle, but I can give you the list of the entire programs today if you'd like.
Could I also ask that you provide us with just so the board knows how somebody can apply for these funds, so they're aware of that process?
And actually, if you could give us your contact information, I would like to serve, to understand the allocation process.
Absolutely. Love to have you participate. And again, we welcome applications from all sources.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And if there are no questions at this time, I've been asked to take a 5-minute break. So this time we'll take a 5-minute break.
Is this a 5-minute break?
Yeah, I saw it in 5 minutes.